For the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In case of fire, there are two means to exit the chambers. Exit through the rear doors and walk a safe distance away from the building, or exit out the side doors, go down one flight of stairs and out the door and walk a safe distance away from the building. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. Lou Fiore is absent. Virginia Higley.
Here.
Linda DeGray.
Here.
John Petronella is here. Francis Alimo is absent. Joseph Muley.
Here.
Kenneth Helinski is absent. Vinnie Grillo is absent. Christian D'Antonio.
Here.
And Nicholas Lefakis is absent.
The alternate will be seated tonight. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of September 14th.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I did watch the meeting, our last meeting, so I feel comfortable voting on these minutes.
Great.
Okay.
Does anybody have any corrections or insertions of any kind? Okay, then I'll entertain, all those in favor of accepting the minutes? Aye.
I abstain.
It's okay.
Madam Chair?
yes.
Just for clarification, was that a vote of 4-1 or 401? So did
Yes.
did you decline? You abstained. Thank you very much.
Okay, public communication. Is there anyone out there who would like to come before the board on any item that is not on the agenda? For a second time, is anybody interested? Third time? Okay, public communications is closed. We have no bond releases. We have no presentations. Continued hearing, PH 3071.
Yeah, PH 3071, 210 Moody Road, application for re-subdivision, Top Knot LLC, applicant, owner, map 100, lot 11, I-1 zone. This is continued from September 14th.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ben Hildebrand, work with Sage Engineering. We have an office out of Westfield, Mass. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
Red light should be on.
Okay. So in general, we're proposing to subdivide the current lot at 210 Moody Road into 3 properties. We have addressed all the staff comments, and we have also received approval from the Inland Wetlands Commission since our last meeting. I've read through the draft motion, and we have no objections to the way it's written. And I just want to say I also believe the conservation restriction designation probably makes the most sense for all the parties involved. I'm here to answer any other questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair. Just want to verify you're in agreement with the 9 conditions that were posed on the motion, especially with regard to the stormwater swale and so forth. Okay. That's all I had.
Anyone else? Linda?
I just have one question to the chair, to the staff. And I was reading the stormwater designation, and it's pretty contingent that Lot 1 does its part. But my concern is, and I know this is projecting future whatever, but Lot 2, Lot 3 gets sold, Lot 1 decides to sell. I'm kind of concerned that somehow the ball gets dropped between the 3 properties. And how would we as a town, because I see that the town can step in and address this, how would we be able to do that?
Right, that was really the concern from the beginning with the swale kind of a concept for this. So Couple of things. Lot 1 has a wetland permit, so actually independent of this subdivision, they have a wetland permit. And then they also have, I guess, another layer of a wetland permit associated with the subdivision now. So through the Wetlands Agency, they would be able to enforce those conditions through the wetlands permit. In talking to the assistant town engineer, he had suggested that, or him and I cooperatively suggested, I guess, that the swell be constructed at the outset by the subdivider. So at least we don't have to deal with different rights or interests in sequence trying to construct pieces so they all kind of work together. So at least the swale will be there in total on lots, 3, 2, and 1 as well. So lastly, there'll be individual site plans that will be approved through this board for the development of Lot 2 and Lot 3. And through that, you can also, I think, establish some conditions relative to the ongoing obligations, not just the obligation of the person who initially goes into the property, but any successors and assigns, should the property be conveyed in the future. So I think we've got it pretty much tied up well enough.
Okay, no, that was my concern is,
Right.
Owners come and go.
Right.
It's life.
Right.
And so that was my concern.
Right.
That was
And
the
then-
only concern.
All of these conditions are placed, as you know, they're placed on the actual final plans.
Right.
That get signed. So any successor, if they're doing their due diligence and they're checking the files as they should, will understand what those obligations are before they take title to the property. And if not, we'll certainly let them know what
Right.
those
Thank you.
are. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner D'Angelo?
Yeah, I had a question for the applicant and then possibly a follow-up for staff about the barn. So if the barn, as of these motions in this plan, it's part of the conservation easement. So is that your intent? Is it to remain there and not to take it down or to move it? Are there any immediate plans?
No, there's no immediate plans. Right now, it's just used as storage.
Okay.
So it'll be continued to be used as storage
Okay.
until that property is conveyed to another property owner.
Okay. And so my follow-up for staff was that being part of the conservation restriction, is that going to limit their ability to use that barn, can basically continue their use as a storage facility?
Under normal circumstances, I'd probably say yes, but we have a conservation restriction template, if you will, and oftentimes I think what'll happen is that we will work with the applicants and the owners to modify that template and make adjustments as needed to address kind of unique situations like this. So I envision that conservation template would be have a provision in there to deal specifically with the barn and to allow for the continued use of it as storage, accessory to the property, but also establish enough control so that it wouldn't be removed without approvals and things of that nature. So,
And I would say, and the limited use too, to not expand the use, it's used for storage.
Absolutely.
For that property.
right,
Not to be expanded.
right. The footprint's the footprint.
Right.
And I don't think we would allow it to be expanded. I would hope that in the future, we can get an owner of the Lot 3 that includes that portion, who would put that barn to some use, some appropriate use, and we could come back and revisit, because you can always revisit the conservation restriction if you want. So there's some flexibility there. But at least for the near term, we've kind of created a mechanism to kind of control what happens in that area.
Right. All right. As long as they're happy with that and we have controls over it, I'm happy with that. Thanks.
Okay. Any more questions? I just have to ask if there's anybody in the public that wants to speak in favor or against this application. Anyone interested in speaking? Last call, anyone interested in speaking? No. Okay. No public comments. Is there any staff comments?
Nothing further.
Okay.
Pretty much covered everything in the staff report.
Okay.
I did complete the motion and gave John a copy to complete the motion.
Okay.
So
Okay, so there doesn't seem to be a need to keep it open any longer. Does the
I make a
commissioner?
motion that we close public hearing?
I'll second that.
All in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that was good. Is there any discussion? No? Then motion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve public hearing number 3071 for three-lot subdivision, Top Knot LLC applicant owner, map 100, lot 11, 210 Moody Road, based on the plans of record dated and received September 15, 2023, and including the following 9 final plan modification notations.
A second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Linda DeGray,
4.
Virginia Higley,
4.
Joseph Muley,
4.
Christian D'Antonio,
4.
and John Petronella is 4.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. When you're ready.
Public hearing.
Yep.
The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing at their regular meeting on Thursday, September 28th, 2023, at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers at 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following. Public hearing number 3074, Laughlin Road, applicant for a three-lot subdivision, Carl and Loretta Nelson, applicant owners, map 106, lot 2, R88 zone.
Thank you. Would you like to tell us about it?
Certainly. Good evening. My name is Tim Kuhn. I'm a professional engineer with J.R. Russo and Associates here tonight representing the applicants, Carl and Loretta Nelson, who are also here in the audience. What's being proposed is a three-lot subdivision off of Laughlin Road, and the property is located just north of the Ellington town line. If you look at the exhibit to my right here, there's the Ellington town line, there's an existing lot, and then there's the subject parcel, which we are proposing to subdivide. It's a little over 10 acres, zoned R88, and it is currently a wooded parcel, and there are no wetlands on the parcel as well. We're proposing the 3 frontage lots, as you can see colored on this exhibit. These will be served by on-site wells and septic systems. We did submit with our package a conceptual grading plan, which I could show you as well. And the purpose is to demonstrate the buildability of these lots. These are frontage lots, so there are no public improvements with regard to roads and stuff like that. We have received and we submitted the approval letter from the North Central District Health Department for the subdivision because we have the on-site wells and septics. These lots meet all of the bulk area requirements. For open space, we are proposing a fee in lieu of the open space. We did provide an appraisal that was performed by Burke Appraisal Services in July of this year, and he valued the land at $200,000, so the resulting open space fee will be $20,000, and the final plans will be modified to reflect the proper proportion of that fee associated with each lot, which will be required to be paid at the time of the transfer of the lots. We are requesting 2 waivers, one for streetlights, as there are no other streetlights on Laughlin Road other than one at the intersection of Bellawood Drive, which is a little further up the street, And we are also requesting a waiver of sidewalks. Again, this is a remote area, and there's no sidewalks along Laughlin Road for any sidewalk on our frontage to connect to. So that's the reasons we're requesting those waivers. It's a pretty straightforward subdivision, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Do the commissioners have any questions? John? Hold on one sec.
Yeah, there was, excuse me, but Madam Chair, there was, I'm seeing, is there three waivers mentioned? Did you mention two?
Two.
Yeah, we requested two. Actually, I think Matt brought one up in his
Yeah,
staff report.
just to be safe, if you will, the practice has recently been that for subdivisions like this, a frontage subdivision, you really don't need a developer's agreement. A developer's agreement would be appropriate if you actually had new streets and roads and utilities and those types of things. So just to be safe, since it is a requirement in the regulations, I added that as a third waiver.
So there will be a waiver that we'll have to vote on for
The third, yeah.
For the
There'll be
developer's
a total
agreement.
of three.
To
And I-
waive it, yeah.
The applicant didn't initially request that, so I just added that. I kind of took the liberty to
Okay,
add
just
that.
want to make sure that.
No, it's a
they-
good point.
that the applicant.
Lori actually
is
pointed
aware
it
of
out to me
Okay.
as well.
Okay. You can stay there, but I'm going to ask if anyone in the public has anything to say for or against. Anyone in the public? Last chance. Okay. Staff comments?
Because of the waivers, we had this all set up to go tonight, but per your regulations, a waiver requires a 3/4. You have 7 regular members, so 3/4 of 7 is 5.2, and that won't cut it. So you need 6. So I spoke to Tim earlier today, and the applicants were okay with just having the hearing tonight, closing the hearing, and then when we have enough people for the waivers on the 12th, hopefully, doing the vote on the 12th. So we can close the hearing tonight if that's okay, and then come back on the 12th and vote.
I make a motion, close, we already did, all right. We close public hearing 3074, Laughlin Road.
Second,
All those in favor of closing the public hearing signify by saying aye.
aye.
Thank you very much.
So it will be continued till October 12th. Okay. Okay, next is PH 30769 Hazard Avenue.
Yeah.
Oh, no? Oh, you have to
Yeah,
read it.
I got it. Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing at the regular meeting on Thursday, September 28th, 2023, at 7 p.m. in the Town Council Chambers at 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following. Public hearing number 3076, 9 Hazard Avenue, application for a marijuana dispensary, Hydra East LLC applicant, Enfield Square Realty LLC, plus Enfield CG LLC, plus Enfield Nasom LLC owners, Lot 45, Lot 1, BR Zone.
Thank you. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your application?
Yes. Good evening, Commission members. My name is Kevin Heffernan of Stonefield Engineering. We are the design engineers and consultants for the developer and applicant, Hydra East LLC. We're here seeking 2 separate approvals for our property. One being the site plan of special permit use for the proposed adult use recreational marijuana dispensary. And then secondly, for a permit to work for the work to be done within the regulated flood areas. So I'm going to open our plan set here if my eyes allow. Here we are. So scrolling down to our site plan so everyone can kind of see our proposed layout. The proposed redevelopment is for the vacant dual restaurant, Starbucks and Quiznos, as part of the outlot of the overall Enfield Square shopping mall. We are proposing a redevelopment of the building for a 3,070 square foot adult use marijuana recreational dispensary. There are existing 36 parking spaces. We are proposing to maintain all 36, and then by code, only 10 are required. Broadly, our project consists of just renovating the dilapidated property and replacing the majority of the existing asphalt pavement as it's in disrepair, a lot of the asphalt curbing almost in its entirety, repairing the existing retaining walls, the guardrails, handrails on the east side of the stairway, trash enclosure, and other features of the site, while significantly upgrading the landscaping throughout the site's entirety. On top of that, pertaining to the building, we are proposing to reface the building, whether that means reface in material and or painting to remove any of the graffiti that you may have noticed over on the east and north sides of the building, as well as provide screening for the existing rooftop mounted equipment. So we believe this project not only brings a benefit to this area economically, but also provides a much needed facelift for this prominent corner along the Hazard Avenue corridor. So the site was originally developed as an outlot of that Enfield Square shopping mall back in 2003. And from that development, we're inheriting numerous permitting conditions relating to both of our applications for the floodplain mitigation, as well as the overall zoning bulk items, whether that be the impervious coverage nonconformity or the frontage setbacks. Our proposed plan focuses on improving the inherited conditions in every facet, from cleaning up the property visually to upgrading the existing utility infrastructure on site, as well as reducing impacts to the nearby floodplain and the Hazard Avenue in terms of traffic. So first off, in terms of floodplain mitigation, our improvements are limited to repaving and repairing the existing lot and do not include any fill and or added impervious coverage within the floodplain. This is strictly a rehabilitation project for this site in regards to impacting the floodplain. If anything, we will be reducing our impervious area on site by a few hundred square feet, so actually providing a net benefit to the nearby floodplain. In regards to site plan approval, our proposed redevelopment adheres to the town zoning code. It improves upon the inherited 2003 design layout. It meets all the requirements within the Enfield recreational marijuana regulations, whether that be in terms of noise abatement, odor control, the location in the buffer spaces to other regulated uses, and that also includes not only just the local regulations, but also the Connecticut state statutes. The lighting is planned to remain. However, as this is a more, I guess, as this application pertains more to overall safety of the area with the use, obviously, we'll be looking at trying to keep the lighting, but also upgrading where need be, for added safety and to ensure that we meet the town's regulations. And then the landscaping, like I said, is to be upgraded significantly to resemble and improve upon those 2003 plans, as well as to meet the the current regulations. So in conclusion, we truly believe that we are bringing an all-around upgrade to this site and are very excited to provide not only a great service, but build upon the high-profile corner. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about our project.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Commissioner DeGray.
I always have questions.
That's a good thing.
Through the chair to the staff, there is 36 parking spaces do they need an EV
Oh, yeah.
thing, unit in this parking and with all the new regulations about this?
I'm fairly certain that that new statute only applies to new construction.
Okay, because
Since this is a retrofit, I don't think that would
All right.
apply. You know, they're certainly free to provide them if they choose to.
no, I just was making sure that.
Right, no, it's a good question.
Okay,
Good question.
thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Commissioner D'Antonio, excuse me.
No, that's all right. Yeah, so I mean, I'm pretty familiar with the. I mean, I think we all are very familiar with the area. I mean, I'm particularly familiar with the area as a pedestrian and cyclist. So if you've been on the site, you hopefully have noticed that there's a very significant desire path on the north end of the property. It's at the fence line to the adjacent property, which I believe is a motel. So, I mean, I did note that there's no notes of it in your plan, but, you know, I want to bring it up here in that it is a pretty widely used desire path. I mean, your plans don't make any alterations to it, so regardless, it's going to continue to be used, right, short of, you know, physically obstructing it. I do know that you have access to the adjacent property to the east, the mall, the mall parking lot. So I wanted to see if this had even come up in planning, any potential consideration for possibly formalizing this as a pedestrian pass-through.
As
Yeah.
in cutting through the site to the stairs on the east side? Or,
Well, so there's not even stairs, so it kind of just tapers off.
oh,
So it's actually north of the stairs. So if we see,
understood.
yeah, the northeast part of the property, so that tapers down.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see that tree line, so it's basically along that tree line on the north end.
Right. Looking at the site plan, I believe our curb line is actually very close to the property line. All those trees are located off-site on,
Off-site, right.
on the motel property.
Yep.
The pathway you are inquiring about, would that be located on our site?
Right.
or-
It's south of the fence line.
Okay.
So it is exactly that area that it is a small area. It's
Right.
it's 2 or 3 feet or so.
Right.
Right. That's exactly what I'm referring to.
I don't think we'd be against it. However, just from an engineering sense, I am concerned, you know, with the existing, well, one, that area, if we were to pave it, is within the floodplain. So that would be adding impervious area, and, you know, we'd have to find alternative area to make a compensation cut, whether that be on our site or per those 2003 plans that we were kind of included with, making a cut on the shopping mall property. So, well, I'd love to give a straightforward answer. I'm seeing that there's a little bit of complications with providing a pathway there. I don't think that the applicant would be nearly or necessarily against it. However, it would come with a little bit more necessary detail in terms of our site plan and the floodplain permit. So if I get this correctly, we're requesting to provide maybe a 2 to 3 foot wide pathway in that area.
Right.
Yeah, on top of the floodplain, I'm thinking of the grading there, obviously with the trees, and then there's a little bit of slope. So adding sidewalk there while still maintaining our asphalt path, our vehicular path right there, it would present a challenge with the grading. And then also, if we were to add that sidewalk up to the property line, that would require off-site grading work to bring the land up to provide a pathway. And then I'm sorry to keep adding.
No, that's all right. I mean, I brought it up because, it's something that townsfolk are using today, and like I mentioned, they're going to continue using it. So, I mean, at the very least, it's something that you need to be aware of.
Right.
You know, and potentially, you know, if there's anything that could be done. Yeah, whether, you know, sidewalk or you know, I think the lighting still kind of, I mean, that's the edge of the property, so it probably won't be lit very well. But, yeah, no, I do understand, and it's tough
Yeah.
because there is the connection to the adjacent property
Right.
just to the south.
Right.
But that's not how people. that's not how people travel. That's actually so that's the first property where you could cut through coming from 190. So coming from the north side of town, if you were walking or cycling, that would be the first cut through to get into that shopping plaza, which is why it's so heavily used. I
Keep in
understand.
mind, I just would be hesitant to commit to being able to, because I would hate to put it in the application and then find out the engineering of it. We wouldn't actually be able to install the sidewalk path right there.
Right.
Looking around the site, I know obviously they'd want to cut through the site as is the easiest path, but we do provide a sidewalk all along the right of way for pedestrians to go around the property
Yeah.
rather than cut through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if there's no fence there, people will cut through. So just so you're aware, and I understand it's a challenge working, you know, with the different properties in the floodplain. I mean, I'll just put it out there to staff. I don't know if there is any comments you want
Well,
or reply
I
you wanted
guess,
to make to that topic.
You know, there are engineering issues
Right.
and kind of design issues, and then there are real estate and kind of property issues related to liability. So there's a distinction between like an informal, casual, hey, there's people walking on my property kind of thing, and if the property owner wants to accommodate that, that's up to the property owner. It's a completely different thing to say, hey, put a public easement and formalize it,
Right.
and then improve it over this space. I'm not sure that we have the right, frankly, you know, to require that. It's a great suggestion, and as you said, people are going to do it anyway. They're doing it now. They're probably going to keep doing it. But frankly, if the property owner wanted to put up a fence and stop it from happening, they would be perfectly within their rights, you know, to do so. So probably better at this point to maybe just let it be and see how it evolves. And, you know, I don't see people abusing, you know, the property. I think they are. They're just getting from point A to point B,
Right.
and that's a convenient way to, you know, to do it. So, but I wouldn't want to complicate this application necessarily
Right.
with that.
Yeah, understandable. Appreciate your insight.
What I can say is that your concern is duly noted too, and you know the applicant is looking to operate this proposed use for a long time. So he will, you know, take this as duly noted, and we'll include it within our as we move forward towards hopefully the engineering phase and whatnot.
Right. And appreciate the consideration, and I totally understand that it's a relatively minimal impact rehabilitation project, no major infrastructure changes. So I totally understand the scope. I had to bring it up.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question for staff through the chair. In the staff comments, it's in several locations, it's noted and referred to as mall property. You know, for clarification purposes, is the mall property the Enfield Commons property, which is the property directly to the east?
Yeah, correct. The nomenclature I was using was just kind of generic to say, you know, the mall property.
Right, because one could consider that this is part of the mall, meaning the Enfield Square Mall or something, but Enfield
Right.
Commons property, that's what I thought you were referring to.
No, exactly. You're correct. It's
Just
the-
wanted to be clear.
By that, I meant the property to the east.
Yes, I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah, and
This property itself is part of the overall Enfield Square Mall site.
right, but
It
as
is owned by Namdar.
it's referred to in here, I think it's being, the mall is, I think what the consideration is the Enfield Commons Mall, which is to the east.
Right.
I think how it's
Yeah.
referenced.
Two different malls. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
I see your point.
Just to be sure. And As a matter of clarification, and I think I understand it right on your elevation plan, the existing front of the building, or the front of the building, would be the north elevation?
That would be the main entrance, the front.
Oh, okay. And of course, the rear would be the south, which is facing Hazard Avenue.
Correct.
Okay. And just a slight cleanup, dimension bust on your floor plan. I'm seeing a dimension of 15'6" on sheet A100. That's probably should be 22'6" or something like that, which I think it's just a typo. Sheet A100 on the top right, that 15'1" dimension, if you see that.
Yeah, we can look into it.
Yeah.
Thank you for
It's just a cleanup
bringing
thing.
it
It's
up.
just, nothing really major
Absolutely.
concern. But it just doesn't tie out,
I'll have to get on our team to clean up our
Yeah.
our labeling.
Yeah. That's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you. Since there's no one out in the audience, we have no need for public comments, so I'll go to staff comments. Is there anything from the staff?
There's nobody at all here.
Nobody in the audience.
Amazed. Yeah, just a couple of quick things. One of them is kind of a cleanup. In the motion, it should say that the applicant is Hydra East. I used the project name instead of the applicant name in the motion, so just a minor item, but I want to make sure that we get that right. So where it says Canna, whatever it is, Canna something, that was the project name. Canna Zoned MLS is the project name, so you would need to replace that with Hydra East. So just wanted to make that point. I did get a confirmation from the WPCA staff, they do want the 2 grease traps removed. So just to confirm that, that is site-specific condition number 14. So if you want to insert language in there, that very simply said, the 2 existing grease traps will be removed, period. That would take care of that. The floodplain permit is actually a separate permit. We'll deal with that, later. And then, not to put too fine a point on it, but basically, in a nutshell, this is a use change. The site is going to be upgraded, cleaned up. It's in desperate need of being cleaned up. Footprint is basically going to stay the same. So what we wanted to do is just tie that back to that public hearing 2415 to make sure that it was clear in the records going forward about, how these different pieces fit together and what the obligations were. And the applicant has been very gracious in terms of agreeing to do a whole variety of necessary things. It took a while, frankly, to get through and to identify them all. There were so many issues on the site with landscaping and paving and drainage and all the rest. So a much-needed facelift for sure. So I don't think we have anything further than that, unless you have any questions for us.
Anyone have any questions for staff? I'll entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Just raise your hand and say aye if you agree.
Aye.
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 Okay. Now we go on to the flood, 46, or discussion.
Hydra East.
Sorry.
Hydra East.
Do we have any discussion? I didn't think there would be any. No?
Just in terms of sequence, we had conversations in the office as far as the flood permit versus the special permit and the site plan approval. Don't really think it matters because you wouldn't be able to implement one without the other and vice versa.
No.
So in terms of sequence of how you would do those, I don't think it really matters that much. So however you prefer. We put it on the agenda in the way that the standard agenda
Okay,
kind of lays out, so.
okay.
If you want to
Good.
take action on this tonight.
But you can certainly take action tonight if you wish to take action.
On this first.
What if the marijuana thing doesn't pass? Never mind. Okay.
Does that make
First of all,
sense?
let's clean this up. Is there any further discussion on 9 Hazard Avenue? Okay, so we've closed the public hearing. And now we're going to old business, of which there's none. New business, flood 46, 9 Hazard Avenue.
In the packet, we did include a memo on this. It's very brief, obviously, I think for good reason. And we did include a draft motion. And again, the idea was to tie the prior approvals to this approval and going forward. It's really as simple as that. There's really no work within the floodplain. And
It's already been disturbed.
right, and John Cabibbo, the assistant engineer, I think he commented on it, and I included that comment, I think, in the addendum I handed out, or Lori handed out.
Does the applicant have anything to say on it?
Only comment, I wish I could zoom in here to better show it to you. But the only work that's being proposed within the limit of the floodplains is repaving, no added pavement, and then replacing some of the existing broken curb.
Okay. Any staff, any commissioner questions or comments? No? We've already heard staff comments. So next we vote.
I make a motion that we close new business FLD 46.
Not a public hearing.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
All right, so we close it. And
Second.
John- And
Okay.
John can read the motions.
Okay, yeah, I have the motion here somewhere.
Okey dokey.
Give me 1 minute.
There's the,
Yeah, FLD. Yeah. Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve FLD number 46 with conditions, application for development permit for regulated activities proposed within a special flood hazard area related to public hearing number 2415 and public hearing 3076 and located at 9 Hazard Avenue, Hydra East LLC, applicant Enfield Square Realty LLC, Enfield CH LLC, and Enfield Nasom LLC owners. Map 45, Lot 1, BR Zone, per the plans and application materials received and dated September 18th and September 22nd, 2023, and with the following 24 conditions listed.
second.
Roll call, please, when you're ready.
Linda DeGray,
4.
Virginia Higley,
4.
Joseph Muley,
4.
Christian D'Antonio,
4.
and John Petronella is 4. Okay, close this out.
Madam Chair, so you did not take action on the public hearing 3076. I mean, you certainly have the option to approve that this evening or table it, but you need to
I thought we
decide.
continued it to the 12th.
No, we continued.
I
We continued the action. We continued the action for the 3-lot subdivision to the 12th.
Yeah.
because
Oh,
we didn't
okay.
have- We
Yeah.
didn't have enough
I
people for the
apologize.
waivers.
You certainly have every option to
Okay.
approve it tonight.
All right.
Or if you want to, you could table it. But either way, you need to.
Well, we have, we need a
make that-
motion to approve then.
Yep. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve public hearing number 3076, application for a site plan for a special permit to renovate and occupy an existing building and the site to locate and operate a retail cannabis store at 9 Hazard Avenue, the former Starbucks Quiznos. Hydra East LLC applicant, Enfield Square Realty LLC, Enfield CH LLC, and Enfield Nasom LLC owners, Kevin Heffernan, PE of Stonefield Engineering and Design LLC, applicant's representative, map 45, lot 1 BR zone, per the reference plans, reports, and application materials listed herein, and with the following 34 modifications and conditions of approval. And I believe we talked about a modification on number 14, where it will be amended to say grease traps to be removed. Is that correct?
That's sufficient, yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Linda DeGray,
4.
Virginia Higley,
Four.
Joseph Muley,
4.
Christian D'Antonio.
4.
And John Petronella is 4. Congratulations.
Yes,
Good
thank you
luck.
for your presentation. It was very thorough.
Thank you
And
for
easy to
starting to
understand.
clean up that site.
Yes, it'll be lovely when you're finished.
It needed a little bit of love
Little
there.
TLC.
Yeah, we're
Goes a
excited.
long
We're
way.
excited to get started.
Good. Thank
Okay.
you, Kevin.
Thank you all.
Yep.
We'll be in touch with you about some post-approval administrative things we'll take care of, so we'll get in touch with you either, tomorrow or Monday. Okay?
Okay.
Have a good flight.
Next,
Have a good flight back.
next we go to other business. Doesn't seem to be any other business. Enforcement reports? No. Correspondence? Yes, Commissioner DeGray.
Just one, because I know there's a lot of controversy about cannabis stores and that. And we've had a lot of comments about our vaping stores having too many. And as of July 1st, 2024, there's no longer going to be a cap on how many outlets can be in a town. So I think we need to really think about this for when we're doing our zoning, so that we don't get an abundance of them. Or people want an abundance, I don't know. So I think this is something we need to think about, as to how many we want, since we already have people complaining about the vape stores, so.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, anything else? Commissioners' correspondence? Director of Planning report? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't-
Yeah, you might be covering this, but I think this was in our packet, the Town Farm Solar. You'll be covering that? Great, thanks.
Am I up?
Your turn.
Okay, so just for clarification, I did not receive the 2 applications at the last meeting, but at the last meeting, I should have received SPR 1922 Mullen Road for a warehouse, and SPR 1923 for 157 South Road, which is a self-storage area. We are having an issue, not an issue, but we wanted to make you aware of 359 Hazard. If you recall, that was the old school that was turned into apartments. And part of the conditions of approval was that there be some sort of commercial entity there. The applicant, Constantinos, said that he was going to open up a medical office, a private medical office there. He has decided not to, which not only it's not going to be a medical office, but it's also, because there is not a medical office, there was no requirement for the elevator, so that was eliminated. So, at this time, he's pretty much rented out all of the apartments, but he has not found a tenant for the space downstairs in the basement. So what we're telling them is, you need to put up 4 walls, a door, put in the electrical, and then you can fit it out afterwards. So I just wanted to make you aware that that's what we're doing, because people want to move in, and he just can't find the tenant, so. And we did speak to the chairman about this a little bit as well, and he concurred, so.
Didn't the regulations change through the state that you couldn't mandate businesses in apartments? No? I know you can't.
I don't know, but our regulation required it, so
Okay.
I don't know what mandate you're talking about, but we could check
Okay.
into that. Okay. Moving on. So I was also mistaken. We were supposed to have a presentation tonight, and that was not true. It's actually at our next meeting. I had it on 2 different dates in my calendar because I was holding both of them. So that's what got me mixed up. So, but on October 3rd, there'll be a public presentation from CROG and DOT on our traffic impact study. We hope that the public comes out and, finds out exactly what they discovered with all of the visual preference surveys and the other traffic impact studies that they've done. This again is the area around the Enfield Square Mall, and they will have some proposed improvements, especially for pedestrian and bicycle paths. We will have the same presentation to the Planning and Zoning Commission on October 12th. And just for your information, on October 4th, the DOT will be talking about the TOD. Department of Transportation will be talking about the transit-oriented development with the railroad station. They're presenting to the town council, I believe. And so that was October 4th. And I think that's it, other than we did get this proposal, which, as we all know, we don't get to, if it's a large solar farm, we don't get to actually regulate it. So that is done by the Siting Council in Connecticut. But they do ask us for our comments. So we sent you the graphic that shows you where it was going to be located on Abbey Road and basically abutting Town Farm Road.
Lori, I don't think we got the colored rendition. I think we
don't-
just got
Really?
this.
Oh, I'm sorry if you didn't. It should have been in color. That's probably my fault. So, but yeah, if you want to look at this. So, so the only thing that really stands out to me is that it appears to have a vernal pool on it. So I certainly think that the Wetlands Commission may want to see this. The property is already cleared for the most part. So, but the question is do you think you would like to have a presentation before you or not?
There goes more farmland.
I guess the positive thing about that is in 20 years when these arrays become defunct, they will probably be removed and we'll still have farmland.
You know what I don't understand? In cell towers, they have to post a bond for when they take it down, in case they're not around to take it down. But solar farms don't have to do that. So come 20 years, they can just walk away and go, eh. And
Talk
then
to
they're
your
stuck with it.
representative so they could talk with the Siting Council,
Okay.
because we have no jurisdiction.
I understand. I just thought I'd put it out there
It's
for the
an
public.
interesting thought, though, isn't it?
So the question was, does the commission want, the applicants offered, and so we said we would ask, if the commission wants the applicants to come and do a presentation to the commission, they're willing to do that. So I'd like to get back to them. So if you think
I'd
that's something
like
you'd
to
like to
see
see.
it.
I think it would be beneficial to them, for the town people to come and see that, or at least watch it on television.
Sure.
Their presentation.
Chris?
Yeah, I concur.
Okay.
So I'll contact them
So be it.
tomorrow and try to set something up.
Thank
I
you.
think they want to apply to the setting council in October, I think, so.
Well, won't they want a letter from Enfield saying that they're for it?
Well, I mean, any applicant always loves to have letters from
Okay.
even endorsements, but the fact of the matter is the siting council folks make it very clear to us that they preempt local zoning.
Yeah.
So letters are nice, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that are making the decisions.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
Quite. We have no say in the matter.
We try.
Well, we can suggest.
Yeah,
We
we
could
can
ask for
certainly-
plantings and things like that.
Certainly, certainly.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Okay, so we'll ask for them to present.
Yeah, just a question on The other solar farm that Raffia was proposing on Raffia Road, what's the status of that one, that issue? In back of the shopping center?
Yeah.
Is that,
I think the siting council approved it.
okay.
Pretty sure that they approved it. I don't know what their status is in terms of actually mobilizing and moving forward. We
Yeah.
can find out.
I was just curious because I know that there were some questions raised about the escarpment
Yeah.
and so forth, and if
Right.
anything was ever addressed with that.
No.
I can get off of the siting council docket, I can get their decision, and I can share that with you if you want. Anyone can get it. You can
Yeah.
just go on, go online and get it, but you need to have the docket number for it. And I
Okay.
think they did include some language that was relative to the escarpments. But if you'd like, I can find that for you. and get it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. But thanks, Matt. I just wasn't sure if that was still going forward, but you
We
answered
think
my
so.
question, yeah.
We think so.
Okay. Opportunities and unresolved issues? Administrative approval reports?
Not this evening. We really haven't done any.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, my God.